And let me just say this. Welcome to Key Staff, and thank you for inputting your sending me text. My phone blew up while I stepped away from the computer for a minute. I got all these, one sentence text that says my demo goal for the week is this, and my CPO goal is this. Okay. Now, let me also remind you that when the why is strong enough, you're taking notes. If your why is strong enough, the how will fill it out, figure itself out. Let's say I'm Sterling Sutton. Let's say I'm Ashley McKay, and I got so much going on. I got school, my first week of school, which if you're a college student, you actually know it's the easiest week of school. It's just that you're not used to going to school for a little bit now, right? And so it's the easiest week, but it seems so large and looming, and you got to buy books and reschedule and fix classes and drop and add and do all this garbage, right? And then they give you some weird out of nowhere quiz that you have to take, and it's like, wait, what? The first day of school, right? And so stuff like that happens. But when the why is strong enough, the how figures itself out. When your why is strong enough, you'll figure out a way to do 10 demos the first week of school, or 20 demos if you wanted to, if your number was 20. If your number was 7, you can figure that one out only and really only if the why you're going to do it is strong enough. What you BS texted me and Patrick a minute ago, I'm going to call BS. You're saying that just to sound cool in the meeting or look good or get a text. I'm not accusing you. I'm being general here. But maybe you did that because you felt some pressure, Keaton. Maybe you felt some pressure, Keisha. You're like, but I got a lot going. You may have just said something. I will tell you right now, if you can put down all those anchors, the anchors as to why you want to achieve $1,000 this week, why you want to achieve $2,000, why I could quit my job and you would sell 2 grand this week without Phil Bolander. You would quit, Patrick could quit, Shay could quit, Daphne. And if you cared enough about $2,000 in Cutco sales or whatever number you just texted, Tiffany, Shauna, everybody, you would sell it without us. Now, we're here to coach you. What you need to figure out is why you want to do that weekly demo goal and your weekly sales goal. And then the dailies, which you put into the app on the phone here, the daily demo goals are handy because today I need 2, sorry, Wednesday I need 2. So I need to do enough phone time. I need to do enough phone time so that I have 2 on that day. If you don't do enough phone time, then the day that you wanted 2 demos on Wednesday, and again, I'm pretending your schedule is not wide open like this, dummy schedule, right? When you have classes all over the place and all these credits in school and you have everything else going on in your life, Wes, whatever it is, well, then you need to do enough phone time, which I would suggest to all of you, even if you're a student. I used to do classes at 8 a.m., Sterling. And so when I did class at 8 a.m., I could never do Champs Club. But there was a couple semesters where Tuesday and Thursday I did Champs Club. We didn't have Champs Club. There was no Zoom. There was no workshop. There was no YouTube. YouTube didn't exist. Okay. Maybe it did. But there was no Cutco YouTube videos, right? And so the fact is, I used to that one semester where I had Tuesdays and Thursdays where I could do Champs Club. It was personal. There was no online presence. It was literally Champs Club, Keisha, was doing phone time without anybody watching me. That was Champs Club. I was a champion by myself, me in my apartment at 185 South, 400 West, Provo, Utah, E4601. You know what I mean? Like that was what I did. That was Champs Club. So if your Champs Club is unavailable because of school, then you say, all right, well, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I can rent a room at Utah State in this, room in the student center in the business building. And those are my 2 phone Champs Clubs that are at 10:30 to 11:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So what you need to do is you need to commit to when your phoning is. That's why those demo goals on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday mattered. The weekly is just the weekly goal. And I hope I can get you to the finish line, Ashley, of whatever you texted me a minute ago. I hope I can get Sterling to that number. And Sterling, you're back in school now. Now it's time to get back to selling Cutco, right? You got off your honeymoon. You have everything else that happened over the winter break. And it's just like, now I can get back to my job, right? And I'm not just picking on you, Sterling, right? But like now it's like, now you're like I think honestly, I won 3 scholarships, guys. I won 5. 3 of them were during school. I fully believe that it's easier to sell Cutco when you have more going on, because you'll treat it like a class. You'll treat it like, here's my class time, here's my homework time, here's my demo time, here's my phoning time. And if you treat it the same way, class time, homework, demo time, phone time. If you do that in the week, like I said on Champs Club today, I wanted to be done with both selling and homework by Thursday night. I had a wife and 2 kids during school. I wanted to be done with both by Thursday night. And it usually, I would say 80%, no, 70% of the time, I was not at my goal quite. So there was like one demo Friday afternoon, and then I was done. Or there was like 1 or 2 demos Saturday, and then I was done. I didn't do that much on Friday and Saturday because I tried to pile it all into the front end of the week. But a lot of students are the exact opposite. And I'm going to go ahead and say, if you're exact opposite and you're like, no, Phil, I'm down to clown for 4.0 GPA. So I'm going to do Monday through Thursday, Zippo, Magippo, Cutco, except for Thursday night, I'll do my phone time. Thursday night's the team meeting. Now, this week, nod your head violently, please, everyone. You should have gotten a text. You should know this already. This week and this week only, the team meeting is Wednesday night. It is a division-wide team meeting. Division-wide. We'd like to get 3, 4, 10 of you up at Utah State together, maybe at a room in the business building, and maybe you guys get together and watch the team meeting together. People in Salt Lake get to the Salt Lake office. Provo people get to the Provo office, right? And everybody else in the division. We're going to be together for the division meeting on Wednesday night, this week and this week only. But back to my story, when I knew my team meeting was Thursday night, I tried to be, you guys might opposite. I'm going to tell you what you guys might do is you might take Monday through Thursday and go crazy school and do nothing for school, for Cutco. And then normal Thursday nights, it looks like this. Does everyone understand that's Thursday night, not Wednesday night? And that's your first phone time maybe for the weekend. And what it is, Keaton, is you want to be a freak-end, sell it on the weekend. And you want to do 2 or 3 demos on Friday and 3 or 4 demos Saturday. And that's how you get your 7. You choose how you do the job, and that's the beauty of the job. And if you're in school, I personally, again, I told you this, I always wanted to do more by Thursday night than after. But you got to make that call and decide when you want to really work. And you got to stick to it. And treat your phone time as really important. So that being said, let me just review. What the heck is key staff, Phil? This is my first key staff meeting. Jens, Seth, Keaton, Ashley, you've never been invited, Keisha, to this meeting, right? The first thing, and I would write down a couple things. There's 3 reasons we have key staff at all. 3 reasons we have key staff at all. 1 is we want you to get really dang good at the selling of Cutco. And to get really good at the selling of Cutco, it takes 5 things. It's the demo, it's closing or dropping down and making like lists. It's getting good at the phone, getting good at recommendations, and good at emotional and time management. Emotional and time management. So what are the 5 things one more time? It's the demo, it's closing, it's phoning, it's recommendations, and emotional and time management. When you can master yourself, time management and self-management, master recommendations, phoning, closing, and the demo, you'll be really good at selling Cutco. Nod your head if you agree. Okay, good. That's the first purpose. Most key staff meetings, we will teach you Cutco stuff. Most key staff meetings, and it's not team meeting stuff. Team meeting stuff is recognition and fluff, some motivation and a little bit of teaching, but like lower level stuff. Key staff is where we teach you how to sell cookware, flatware, ultimates, signatures, big stuff, more complicated stuff, business gifts, lots of stuff like that. I advise you to be at key staff because you'll get a ton of learning at this meeting. Secondly is personal and professional development, time management, money management, goal setting, achievement. We'll go over books and things that make people succeed and outside of Cutco. So it's personal and professional development. And then finally, managers. I'm going to tell you guys, I went over this morning, I went over it today. We are looking for as many as 20 assistant managers for us to do what we want to do in the Intermountain Division, $5 million in 2025. Our goal is 5 to thrive, if you will, 5 million in 2025. Okay. And for us to get to $5 million in sales, we need leaders. We don't just need new branch managers and new district managers. We already have that slated. Who's running an office this coming summer is probably slated. Unless someone says, Phil, I'm ready. Give me 120 days. I'll be ready to run an office. I can do that right now. I did it with Bucky 20 some odd years ago, and his office did $175,000. To give you an idea, had he been in today's pay structure as a branch manager in 2020, well, his was like 2002 or three, but had he been in today's pay structure, he would have made about $70,000, no, $50,000 in the summer running a branch office. He didn't make that much because the pay was different back then. He won a trip to Spain too. You guys know we're going to Budapest in a couple of weeks as a company, and then next year it's an 8-day cruise in the Western Caribbean. Yeah, Western. Anyway, so there's a lot of cool opportunities in management, and this meeting is the doorway to opportunities. Some of you guys are like, I'm just trying to learn how to do page 8 and 9 in my demo. I don't know what I'm, but it's nice to know that there's lots of opportunity to continue to learn how to do your job better and why you should get better. So essentially, guys, there's assistant manager openings. 20 or more assistant managers in our division this summer. So it doesn't matter if you're in Logan, if you're in Lyman, Wyoming, if you're in Park City, Utah, if you're in Layton, Ogden, North Salt Lake Valley, Provo, St. George, Cedar City, anywhere across Utah, Wyoming, and Western Colorado, we want you and we need you, but we can't just take you on. We need leaders. So that's why we have this stuff. So what do we need to have leaders? We need 3 things from you. Give me 3 fingers. Jot these 3 things down. I want to see you on the newsletter. Okay. I just want to see you in the newsletter. You don't need to sell $10 million. You don't need to be crushing it. It's like 2-3 orders a week, Ashley. Like you could have a fiance, you could have 18 credits, you could have another job, and you could have kids, Keisha. You could have all the things in your life that you have, but you could get 3 orders a week. It takes $1,000 to make the newsletter. $1,000 to make the newsletter at 20%, 25, 30% is $200-300 a week, and you're getting 3 orders and your company's giving you $200-300. That's freaking cool. Sterling, I think you're at 10K, so bam, that's $300 a week. I'm pretty certain that your wife wouldn't hate that paycheck every 7 days, right? And again, you're full on in school. We already know the reason you're even in the state of Utah, let alone Cache Valley, is for your education. But it's like, hey, a couple $100 a week for doing 5 demos and getting 3 sales, right? So, and Sterling, your averages are higher than that, and most of you have averages where your 2 orders is $1,000, right? Most weeks. So we want to see you on the newsletter. Second thing is we want you to be a team player, right? And team players do a couple things. One, they help us. We go to Utah State. We have a job fair next Tuesday. We could use your help, Ashley. We could use your help, Sterling. You've been there when we went and had tables at the business building and stuff. And we could use your help at the job fair next Tuesday at Utah State University. And if you're not at Utah State University, Salt Lake Community College, Jens helps us out with Salt Lake Community College. That's where we met Jens, at Salt Lake Community College at a job fair a year ago. And so we are looking to continually build. And so not only that, but also PRs. What are PRs? Personal recruits. Those are friends that you've recommended to the job. Sterling, I don't know if 2, 3, 4 of your friends have started the job over the winter break. I can't remember the number. We can look that up and find out. But some of you have recommended friends, and we want to bring them onto the team right away. So team players help build the team, but also support the team. And then lastly, attitude. Here's what I want. I'm going to go with the bottom one. The bottom one here, Patrick, will you just talk for a minute about outbound calls, like talking about what you and I were talking about that would help us as managers and what would help these guys be more successful also, just for a second.
Yeah. So, some of you, hopefully you remember kind of from training, whenever your training was, whether it was, literally over a year ago, like Jens, or a few months ago, like Shauna, or like 2 weeks ago, like Keisha. But so the goal is that we're talking with everyone before 9 a.m. every weekday. Now, I also realize it is, school year now. And so if you are like, but Patrick, I have class from 7:50 until 9:20. Great, call us before your class. It's too it's 2-minute call, this, because here's the thing, you all sent your demo goals and whatnot, and if we talk to you, we'll be able to help you more with that goal. You'll be more held accountable towards that goal too. And it's really hard for us to help you if we're not talking with you. And texts, not really the most ideal for any of us, let's be honest, because it takes longer. It's not a live conversation. We've had someone in training this week who he just asks all these questions over text, and it's like, bro,
So,
all of
right.
these we need to talk about like live on a phone call because
Yeah.
it's way too complicated over text. And so the more you talk with us, the better we'll be able to help you. I remember when I was a student up at USU and Phil would call me on Mondays and in the middle of my econ class, and I would deny his call almost every single week. And I'm like, Phil, I'm in class. And so if that's you, if we call you, it's just because we haven't heard from you yet. So you can always call us before and right after class. Phil is up bright early in the morning. You could call him before your 6 a.m. yoga class or whatever, and he would probably answer, or
Yeah.
he would be up, I should say. And
let me prove to you that the texting is helpful once in a while, but we forget stuff. Ashley was in Florida, and I'm calling at, like, because there's a text that probably says when she's available. Sterling, you were on your honeymoon, right? Or whatever. But the fact is sometimes things get forgotten. So texting helps, but sometimes we miss it. But also, I think it's also good because we can have a real conversation versus 42 texts back and forth. And multiply all of your texts times just the people on this call, 12 people. You can imagine we're going to miss some texts, right? Does that make sense? And then there's people that are not in this meeting that sometimes text us more than you guys, and we don't know them as well as you guys. And so, the live conversation for 2 to 5 minutes is way helpful for us, but hopefully you getting value from that is really a key thing. Even just reminders, don't forget team meetings Wednesday this week versus Thursday, or whatever the case may be. Okay, awesome. Good. And let me just check my chat box from Patrick. So Patrick, you can respond in chat. But that'd be great. Consistency. I'll remind you that we have strings. If you don't remember this, I would suggest that you guys go hard, so to speak, on strings. What do you mean by strings? Okay. Strings is 1 week over 1,000, 2 weeks over 1,000, 3 weeks over 1,000, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can do 1K, 2K, 3K, 4K, 5K strings. Like you can do any amount. But if you're doing $1,000 a week and you do it 10 weeks in a row, Keaton, do me a favor, guys, humor me. I always have people do this and they think it's hilarious and dumb. But let me explain. Write down 10 times 1,000. Write down 10 times 1,000. This is girl math. Is that the term in today's world? Girl math, shopping math. Is that what it is? I don't know. I just know I heard this term once in a while. And it's this 10 times 1,000 is 20K. 20K. It is not 1,000. It's 20K.
it's not 10,000.
Always. What's that?
It's not 10,000.
It's not 10,000. 10 times 1,000 is 20,000. Why? Because 1 week Ashley sells 1,006. Another week she sells 1,107. Another week she sells 2,800 because bust out a signature set. Another week she sells 1,500. Another week's 1,200. And at the end of 10 weeks of never below 1,000, it's a horizontal vertical asymptote, if that makes sense, if you guys taken math before. You never drop below 1,000. At the end of 10 weeks over 1,000, you will be at 20K in sales. So whatever you're at today, Daphne, if you sold 10 weeks over 1,000, you'd be at 20,000 more than you are today. I've like never had that fail. It's literally double what you think it would be because of all those little bits that you do above 1,000, above 1,000. In 1 week, you have a huge week, but most weeks you're at 1,200, 1,400, 1,100, 1,300, 1,700, 1,900, 2,900, 4,000, 1,100, 1,006. And it comes out to 10 to 20 grand. So put that in your bank right now, and starting a string right now, this week, the easiest week of school. And then the last thing I'll say before I let Patrick do some teaching here is momentum. There's a power of momentum. If you're 2 weeks over 1,000, you'll break a string. You're like, oh, well. If you're 4 weeks or 5 weeks over 1,000, you'll be, no, I'm not missing. I got 5 weeks in a row. Now, I think you know this, but if you do 10 weeks over 1,000, you get an engraved steak knife. And it's, 90 bucks worth of Cutco. Your future wife or husband will love you if you have an extra steak knife. It's not the end of the world. It's not the greatest thing in the world. But I'm going to tell you right now, guys, when you have an engraved steak knife, see, I always worked towards prizes in Cutco. I worked towards scholarships. I worked towards daggers they would give out and trophies they would give out and free Cutco they would give out. I have 3 deluxe carving sets thanks to the old program of strings. And you had to do 2 weeks, 10 weeks over $2,000. And if you did 10 weeks over $2,000, you won a deluxe carving set, which doesn't even exist today. And it's a limited edition Cutco set. And I have 3 of them and I love them. And it's because I hit it before my mission and they forgot that I hit it. And then they gave me another one after my mission, which was sweet. Anyway, long story. But the point is, because I was going after, and I think this is so valuable for you guys to hear. Because I was going after a prize, a stinking scholarship or a stinking trophy. It was an Oscar, like a gold, the Golden Globes was this week, but imagine getting an Oscar trophy, literally a gold naked man. And we used to literally make fun of the gold naked man. Like, look at me, I've got a gold naked man. And we would get him at a conference in Las Vegas. And so it looked like we were walking around Vegas with like an Oscar and like I was some famous dude or something, right? But anyway, funny story. But because I went after those trophies, here's what I want you to hear. The money always followed. The paychecks always followed. So scared money doesn't make money. You may have heard that before. If it's a gambling thing, if it's a stock market thing, if it's starting a business, scared money doesn't make money. But because I was not looking for money, I was looking for prizes and awards and trophies and scholarships. I had my mind focused on goals instead of money. If I looked at Cutco as a paycheck, it was not very motivating. Even though I needed money, it still wasn't motivating. When there was whys that weren't money, I was way more motivated. And so strings are a really great method of getting money, right? And it's a focus on something other than money. And the other thing is Champs Club. That's why I advise if you're not in class 8 a.m., please be on at 8. Don't log on at 9 and just listen to the workshop. Even if you're on at 8:20, 8:30, and you do 30 minutes of phone time, you'll make more money if you make it a habit. It's like going to the gym, guys. If you go to the gym once a month, you hate the gym. If you do leg day once a month, you hate leg day. If you do abs once a week, you hate abs because it hurts every time. But if you do it frequently, it doesn't hurt anymore. That's what phone time is like. So when you're on phone in the morning, when you don't maybe want to be, but you do it 2 to 5 times a day, 2 to 5 times a week, your habits trump motivation. Last thing I'll say before Patrick does a little teaching. Habits trump motivation. There's a book called Atomic Habits. General authorities have taught it in general conference, and they talk about the power of habits. It's from the book Atomic Habits. And when you have habits, they overtake your motivation. You don't need help getting out of bed. You don't need help getting on the phone. If you just get out and you do what you're supposed to do as a habit, it now gets more motivating, by the way. It actually gets more motivating to do the thing. Same thing when you go to the gym often, stuff like that. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little teaching. Thank you, Patrick, for kind of volunteering this. And, he has sold a couple $100,000 worth of Cutco. I would bet 2/3 of what he sold is repeat customers, not just his own repeat customers, but I'm talking about customers that you've met that already had Cutco. 2/3 of his Cutco was repeat customers, but the orders are messy. The orders are a little different. So he's going to teach a little bit more. And it would be a shame if Seth, Keaton, Keisha weren't on video. And it would be a shame if Ashley, Sutton, or Sterling, and all of you, it's okay. You can eat all day, Keisha. Nobody cares. I eat every day too. But here's the deal. You should unmute at any moment in this talk in the next 20 minutes. Please don't just let Patrick talk to you. Please unmute and ask the question that's on your mind when it comes up. That will stimulate Patrick's teaching even more so. Not that he's not ready to rock this, but I'm going to advise that you ask the questions. In Champs Club a day or maybe 3 days ago, Seth asked some questions. It was today. And I was like, those were great questions. And I wish people would freaking ask that every time in Champs Club. This isn't Champs Club, but Patrick's going to teach you guys, some of the top people in the team, how to upgrade Cutco customers. And so don't be afraid to say, hey, I keep having this happen. How do I do this? How do I do that? Okay. All right. I'm going to mute. Patrick's going to go at it. Here we go, guys.
Okay, so this will be a repeat for Keisha. I apologize. This is what I did on Saturday. And so I'm pretty sure you kind of used this, or you used part of this with a customer that day on Saturday, with that 5-piece special. So I'm super excited. I'm going to talk about upgrading Cutco owners. Okay, upgrading their sets. We're going to make a few assumptions here. We're going to assume they have a homemaker set +8. We're also going to assume that you did the demo the right way and you did the names and uses to that point, and just we're going to assume that you're not trained to sharpen. And by the way, Sterling, I'm pretty sure you are qualified now to be trained to sharpen. We just need to get a date. And there's a few of you up in Logan. So I'm going to try and convince Faith to go up to Logan to train how to sharpen. And then she'll just use a room in USU. So Phil, if you want to ask Faith in a group chat with me and also reply to our texts and that stuff too, that would be great. So upgrading Cutco owners. So there's a few things to know. Now, it's very easy to start with something that's an easy sale. The easiest knife we sell is the Holy knife. Everyone wants the cheese knife. Don't start with that, okay? That sucks for you. Because you want this to be a closing piece. Go ahead and write that down. Use the cheese knife as a closing piece. Make that I want that. I'm glad this is in the set. Okay. Same thing with the shears. Okay. Both of those are really easy sales. Don't start there. Okay. You want to start with practical pieces for the upgrade. Okay. I'm going to do my darndest here to share my screen. I'm on my iPad today because I just didn't want to get my laptop out. So we're going to go to my vector demo here, and we're going to look at Cutco. We're going to look at gifts and accessories. Now, it's really wise to watch this video with them before you talk about the upgrade program, okay? And the key to the upgrade program, because go ahead and write this down. This is rep exclusive, okay? You cannot do an upgrade online. You have to do it through a rep, okay? That builds value in yourself as a Cutco rep. Mrs. Jones, this is only available through me, okay? So the piece I start with is also an easy sale once they understand it, okay? So in the demo, this is a pop quiz. I do want someone to unmute and answer this. At the paring knife, what do you say for the paring knife in the demo? Read me the whole thing. Someone, hopefully one of you hasn't memorized like I do. This is the paring knife, the small utility knife. So sorry, the small.
I'm literally sweating right now because you're making me memorize this. I'm kidding.
Okay, this is the paring. Okay, Keisha, go ahead. Full send. Paring knife.
Oh gosh, why did I volunteer? Okay, hold on. Sorry. So the Cutco's Air Knife has a long handle, makes peeling and paring comfortable. You'll see that this is for small jobs in the air like apples, strawberries, and bananas. but rarely used on a cutting board. That is why you have your.
Beautiful. Yes. Let's pay attention to that last sentence. Rarely used on the cutting board. Honestly, if I could make a change to the script, I would say never. It is way too small for this to ever go on a cutting board. It will dull so quickly. Now, that's a problem. That's a problem. Upgrading to a bigger set solves that problem. So Cutco owners, they don't know this should never be used on the cutting board. That's why they have your 4-inch paring knife. Yes, the trimmer, but we are talking about upgrades. The 4-inch paring knife is beautiful. The only thing you have to say for this knife is it's used for bell peppers. I'm not even kidding. They're just going, oh, bell peppers. Yeah. Oh, I would use that rather than this for bell peppers. See, now let's talk about the trimmer. Oh, Patrick, but the trimmer for, no, don't use the trimmer for bell peppers. Why? Because it's serrated. It has a nice thick skin on it. The paring knife is great for bell peppers. So this piece, Mrs. Jones is like, oh, bell peppers. I'm not even kidding. Not, two weeks ago, yesterday, I sold an upgrade because of this knife. Because of this knife. Now, it was a partial upgrade. I'll talk about that here in a second. So that solves that problem in the kitchen. The next knife I talk about is also a practical knife. It's another chopping knife. Now, what's the problem with the chef's knife? What's the problem that happens when someone only has one chef's knife?
It ends up needing to be cleaned a lot because they use it a lot.
Exactly. This is one of the go-to knives in the kitchen. Soup, salad, stir fry, stew, stuffing, and salsa. The 6 S's. That's a problem. Here's the solution. Another chopping knife. Now, I sell the 5 inches in my upgrade, which is about this size. Okay, this is the 7-inch Santoku. You can see yourselves. You can wave for us, Shauna and Keisha. Yeah, you can see that nice, gorgeous mirror finish. So I like selling the 5-inch of this knife because it's then a little smaller than this knife. Now, this knife is in the video for gifts and accessories, the baby chopper. We remember this? Is anyone lost? Okay, so they can either get the 7-inch or the 5-inch. This is also practical. I call this knife the sous chef's knife for the daughter, the son, the mother-in-law, the mom who's in the kitchen helping for the family occasions or just every Sunday or whenever. Okay. So the problem is this knife is used constantly, and therefore the solution is another chopping knife. This one also, it makes sense to have a smaller one because this one is sometimes too big for stuff in the kitchen. So Mrs. Jones, now here's something you can write down. Body language. Mrs. Jones will nod her head when she likes what you're saying. Oh, I would use this. The upgrade I did with the person, she was like, yeah, that mini paring knife, it's not good for some of the stuff. I'm like, yeah, I totally understand. That's why we have our 4-inch paring knife for all the other stuff that you want to do. So she was like, okay, tell me what else you got. What else do you have? So she was like, I'm sold on that piece. Okay. Then we talked about the chopping knives. Okay. Now, the cool thing about the upgrade, okay, is there are 3. There's also the veggie knife and the 7-inch Santoku. So they get 3 chopping knives. Now, this is how I explain this knife. Mrs. Jones, this is your veggie knife. I love using this for scooping and putting veggies and stuff that you just cut right into the pan. And I show her that, just scooping up and putting in the pan. Okay. And then she's going to nod her head. Yes, I like that because what does she do? The same thing in her kitchen already. Now there's a knife that actually lets her do that properly because it's so wide. Okay, so that's the next piece I will often show. Now, it's really important when you're upgrading customers to understand what they're cooking. Okay, so it's really easy to sell an upgrade to someone who cooks meat. Here's the thing, in the homemaker, honestly, there's only 2 meat knives. There's only 2 meat knives. There's the butcher knife and there's the 9-inch carver. Guess how often the 9-inch carver is used? 2, 3 times a year. Now, the upgrade, okay, what have we noticed so far about the knives that I've shared about the upgrade? What is unique about them? All the knives I've shared, we're not counting the cheese knife. I've not talked about that yet. What about what of these knives makes them all the same? What feature? They all are what type of edge? That's my only hint.
Oh, straight edge.
They're all straight edge.
Yeah, they're all straight edge. That's why the Ultimate solves problems. There's more straight edges for all the precision types of cutting. I've mentioned nothing about the Double D edge so far because the Ultimate set just has a lot of straight edges, and that's really a great feature. So the next, now let's talk about meats. There are so many different types of meats. There are the raw stuff, raw chicken, raw beef, steaks, pork chops, everything, right? There's also chicken. There's so vast amount of stuff of meats, okay? And yes, these are all knives in my kitchen. Were in my kitchen table, okay? So these are that's why they're water spots, because I use these, okay? So the next knife I like talking about is the boning knife. Now, this is your raw meat knife. This is only for raw meats. Okay, now why did we have to? Because here's the thing. Now, tell me, what does the trimmer say in the demo? Who has the trimmer memorized?
That's the one you use for cutting raw chicken.
Yes, that's what it says. It says for trimming fat off chicken. But here's the thing. Because I love our Double D edge, I have to preface this. Because of the Double D edge, this means you have to do more swipes with the edge. The boning knife is so freaking smooth, it's sexy. Feels so proud that I said that word. Okay. Let me see if I can pull up. Can you still hear me? I'm not in my. Okay, I'm going to show you a video to show you how amazing the boning knife is. I didn't do this for Keisha. And so, but I'll do this here for you guys. So this is my client, Roger. He's bought in from me 4 times. And he owns a food truck business. This is a big, thick thing of brisket. We're going to skip a little. And we're also going to speed it up. Okay, so that's brisket. That's him using the boning knife. Look how smooth that is. The trimmer is truly your small utility knife, but I wouldn't use it for meats like this. That's why you want your boning knife. Okay.
It's also slightly flexible too.
Yes.
The blade is also slightly flexible too.
Yes, it does have a little bit of flex to it. It's not a ton, but there's enough to go around the bones. This is your raw meat knife. It's also amazing for tofu. Okay, so for the vegetarians who you are showing Cutco, Mrs. Jones, this is your tofu knife. Okay. Now, the next piece I like showing is this one. And this is your fillet knife. See how bendy that is? A nice, almost right degree angle. This one is also in the video. This they cut the melons with. The salmon knife is your fillet knife. Don't ever call it a salmon knife. We don't live in California. Call it a fillet knife, please. Because this is for your smoked meats. Okay. My uncle who lives in Kaysville, I literally tell this story to my customers. I'm like, Mrs. Jones, this is my uncle's favorite knife. He loved the Cutco his wife bought him. And then I went over and sharpened their knives a few years later. And I was like, Uncle Mike, have you seen this knife? Let me show you. See how flexible it is? Yes. This is what, and guys, here's the thing. They were using, it was so disgusting, a knife they had to plug in to cut the roasts. It would saw for them. It was serrated. It was dull as crap, not Cutco, disgusting. The blade came out like the fisherman's solution, and it was a pain to store. It was like one of those, like the things that, like the, I don't even know what those are called. I'm not an HM3. Shauna knows what I'm talking about.
They're electric knives.
Yes, it was an electric knife, and I was like repulsed. I'm like, you have Cutco, and I'm like, Uncle, I told him, I'm like, Uncle Mike, you need this knife. This will get you your gorgeous, beautiful, thin slices of brisket. And he's like, okay, I really like the one that we have that I have to plug in, but I'll give it a try. Every single time I go over to their house, he's like, Patrick, tell everyone you show this knife to that I love this piece and it was worth every penny. This knife is $141. Guess who I tell about this knife? Every single one of my customers. So this is the fillet knife for, yes, your melons, but also your smoked stuff, smoked meats, really thin, gorgeous slices of all of that. Okay. The next piece in the upgrade I talk about are more meat knives. This is why it's important to know what meats someone is using. This is the cleaver. Now, this is great for two things. Does anyone know the cleaver joke? Shay, do you know the cleaver joke? Okay, Mrs. Jones, this is actually your home security knife. All you do is you put this in your window, and then you can get rid of that Ring doorbell. Everyone knows not to mess with you. Wow, I really butchered that. They laugh every time. This is your home security knife. Or this is the new boyfriend knife. When your daughter, because you built rapport with them and they have a daughter, this is your boyfriend protection knife. So when the boyfriend comes home and he's like looking to date your daughter, you pull this up. He knows not to mess with you. I sold a cleaver, a $200 knife because of that joke. I don't even think they use it, honestly. But they were like, we want that knife now because of a joke. Coolest people. They're in the military. And Andrea, and I can't remember his name, Talbot Clark. That's their last name, though. The next piece I talk about is the Hardy Slicer. This is your husband's knife. And for the cleaver, go right through bone, right through cartilage. Also great for coconuts. You just take the back and you go right through the coconut. That's exactly, literally word for word, how I explained the cleaver. This is the mini cleaver, Mrs. Jones. Now, this is the only double D edge that I've talked about so far. This is the Hardy Slicer. This is for your semi-thawed meats, not fully frozen, semi-thawed meats. So for your sausages, your breakfast sausages for Sunday breakfast, things of that nature, okay? We also nicknamed this the husband's knife because most of the time they're doing the barbecuing and then I hand this to the husband. Yeah, see how it has a little more weight to it? Yeah, that's because it's for your heavy duty jobs. So the last, now I don't have this in my set at home, okay? But the last piece in the upgrade is the petite slicer. It's about this big. And this is your smaller bread knife for doing stuff on the table. I love using this for my rolls, my homemade rolls for Thanksgiving, or my banana breads, zucchini breads, stuff like that. You want a smaller bread knife? That's great because you have two. And it comes, go ahead and write this down. This comes in your upgrade. That's a great phrase to say. This comes in your upgrade. The next knife in your upgrade. You are painting a vision of this being theirs. The next, the next knife in your upgrade is your cheese knife. I don't need to sell you on the cheese knife. You know how to explain it. It's in
You
the
go.
demo.
4 minutes to go. You got
Yep.
this. 4 minutes
It's
to
great.
Wapner.
It's great for anything sticky and starchy. I also am trusting that you guys know how to sell the shears because it's in the video. Okay, now any questions on the names and uses for any of the knives in the upgrade?
This is more of a general question, but like, would we use like a similar strategy like that lining where you said the next knife in your upgrade for like upgrading them from smaller sets to bigger sets too?
Yes,
Or is that only really for like homemaker to signature or
always.
ultimate?
All.
Always. Yeah, just like because
Okay.
in the demo it says the next knife in your set is your trimmer, petite carver. It says your because it's painting a vision. Okay, so a few things to know about the upgrade. This is how I talk about it with the customer. Okay, so Mrs. Jones, because you already have the homemaker +8, this is super great. Cutco will let you, what we do, excuse me, is we take, and I do this with them, we take the knives that you have, get you a brand new block, we take the knives and we put those in. I literally visually do this with them, so they're looking and imagining this. We put the knives that you have in the block, and then we get to piece in and put the items that you want in your upgrade. So if you want 12 steak knives at the bottom instead of table knives, we can do that for you, Mrs. Jones. In fact, that's one of our most popular options, is getting 12 brand new steak knives and putting the table knives in your drawer. So you get 12 that match, that are brand new. Okay. Now, here's a really cool thing also about the upgrade, Mrs. Jones. Because you've obviously used the block for the last 20 years, Cutco can't resell that. So you get to keep the block and give that to one of your kids or your next door neighbor, or put it in your second home or your cabin in Bear Lake. So then you don't have to buy one of those. Now, what did I just do? I painted a picture of putting Cutco in Bear Lake. I painted a picture of giving their kids who are 10 years old Cutco, and why they should keep their block. That's really cool if you didn't know that. Because that's creating future sales for you down the road. Now, I don't have time to talk about price positioning within an upgrade. But
Not right now.
Yes, right now, of course. But that being said, let me briefly mention what you do. I'm just going to share my screen here. And I actually, if you want this, I can send this to you. This is called a bundle. And what you do, oh, there's Cutco orders. I created a bundle, and this is of, also, I didn't even talk about tableware steak knives yet. Normally I sell them on steak knives. I kind of, obviously, since you all are reps, I like did what I normally do, but I expanded a little more too. Okay, we'll go to shop. Here is my upgrade. So they get the block, 7-inch Santoku, veggie knife, salmon knife, petite slicer, boning knife, 4-inch paring knife, cheese knife, cleaver only, super shears. Now it's important to add more cutting boards because that brand new knives, brand new cutting boards. Look at the CPO on that. 2,257. I did an upgrade last week and we customized it a little, okay? And she got 5 knives. Okay. She didn't get the salmon knife. She didn't get the cleaver. 2, 3, 4, 5. It was something about these lines, okay? And I bonused like that knife, and I think the 4-inch paring knife. That was $1,000. This is about her order, okay? That was $1,000 order that I just created on an upgrade, okay? And I bonused 2 knives. Here's the thing. If someone doesn't want to do the full upgrade, great. Get them the block and then do a 5-piece special with them and bonus 1 of the knives. Because then they have the block and they're going to be forced to call you, Sterling, in 5 months after their easy pay is over. The lady, I think her name is Julie, who bought it's Julie, who bought the ultimate upgrade from me. We got her 5 knives, 4 steak knives, because 8 to 6, right? And she picked 5 knives. And so in half a year, I'm going to call her, hey, how are you liking your upgrade? Great. You wanted these ones next. Do you want to go ahead and get that today? It's so easy because every time they're looking, they're like, that's a hole. I don't like that. There's a hole in my block. There's a hole in my, and they don't like it. They don't like it. So it's super easy. And then they have the other block too. And they want to fill that and give it to their kids. Obviously we're now 2-3 minutes over. Any questions about upgrading? I can talk for another 20 minutes on how to upgrade and all the ins and outs, but I don't want to because we're already 3 minutes over. But questions, comments, concerns, fashion tips, ideas,
Dude.
memoirs.
Patrick, you freaking crushed it. I'm gonna say this: price positioning is like another like perfect spot for either Key Staff next week and or Champs Club coming up. So guys, be on Champs Club. We always teach stuff, not necessarily this, but any other comments or questions? Going once, going twice, going thrice. Okay, it's 5:05. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Key Staff, I really appreciate your effort.